Hey guys, welcome to the Carter Wetzel podcast. Many of you might be wondering what this is about, but today I am going to be going over some things that I regretted about APUSH. I think I've looked up a lot of YouTube videos out there, and everyone's always like, 2 days before the AP exam, they're always like, how to get a 5 on the AP exam, or how to get a 3 on the AP exam. And a lot of you students out there, you're doing this completely wrong. So first off, I'm going to preface that if you are looking at this video a week before the exam and you are looking for a quick solution to getting a 4 or 5, the answer is that some of you are smart enough that you'll be fine and you'll get a 4 or 5, and that your little quick, last-minute, chaotic, grand search for finding a quick solution to getting the grade that you want, it'll work for you. But I'll tell you what, I'll tell you something very important about life that you should know in advance, is that when you get to college and you get to the real world, you don't get to procrastinate to the last second. You'll have projects that'll be going on for 4, 5, 6 months, and you don't get to just in the last minute decide to sprint in and go ahead and jam it all in there. Now for college exams, you might be like, well, in college people always talk about exams and finals and reviews, and you are right, a part of life is cramming, like that's realistic, but at the same time, it's not the best way you can go about it. So I'm going to go talk about the best way you can go about studying for this test. So the main issues I had starting off with number 1 is, if I go back in time, that's the main thing this list is for. Number 1 thing you can do is to start forming a chronological order of events that are important historically relative to APUSH. Now, I've seen some people, they'll print out a huge timeline, and that's what I ended up doing. That was the most helpful thing that I think you can do for the test. Now, a lot of you might be like, well, why the heck should I look at a timeline? What's the relevance of a timeline? So when you get into the actual APUSH test and you're in the testing room, you're going to be kind of freaking out. I don't care how calm you are as a human being. When you get into the testing room, there's going to be a certain amount of adrenaline. So having a timeline that you can look at and remember is super, super important. When you're on the test and someone says, oh, 1800s, and then there's a question on the 1800s, if you can't orient yourself correctly, like to a time period, like a specific time period, you're going to be completely lost. So that's my main thing, and I know certain teachers, they talk about memorizing period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4, period 5. That's one way to do it. It's the same idea. Create a chronological time order that you can remember for the test with important events. So the next one, let's go over here. Yeah, so no super unnecessary attention to detail. So if you're, the way I like to approach a test that's really, really big is you have a certain amount of time that you're going to be working with towards the test. And a lot of times, kids who are cramming spend way too much time with detail that is way too specific. So I guess the less time you have, the more broad you should be studying. The more time you have, the more time you have to be able to have detail-oriented studying, along with more of an open approach. So let's just say you have 3 months before the APUSH test. You can be doing 2 things. You can be going through bywords and phrases, and you can be having, let's say, an hour devoted to like detailed study. And the other hour can be more devoted to a more open, broad point of view when it comes to approaching it, whether it be studying a time period as a whole, or studying a specific, like let's just say the Civil War period and Reconstruction. Like let's just say you have that big zone that you can study as a whole, but you can also go into detail. A lot of times as people approach the exam, they tend to either get way too focused on detail, or once again, they'll be way too broad. I said in general you would rather be broad than detailed, and I still stand by that. That's probably a better approach if you have less time. But we're assuming you do the right thing and you're preparing for advance. Be sure to split your time properly. So the first thing, a chronological order. The second thing, time management. Don't go, I think a lot of people, they're always like, oh yeah, here we go, let's study for the exam. Like here we go, we're going to be so ahead of the game. And then they sit down, they have the time, and they don't know where to start. And a lot of times, it's not about not knowing where to start. It's more so they have the realization that they've set a goal that is very far away. Your goal that's far away is the AP exam, so you need to be able to break down your goals before the test that into small pieces that you can handle. So such as, let's go ahead and say, we're going to study period 1 for the next 2 weeks. That's going to be our main focus is period 1. And among period 1, maybe we hit chapter 1, 2 the first week, chapter 3, 4 the second week, that type of thing. So give yourself a schedule. So when I talk about time management, I'm talking about giving yourself a schedule that is realistic and that you will stick to. So many times, the reason kids procrastinate or wait till the last second is because they don't know how to give themselves a realistic schedule to go through and study for in advance. So like I said, chronological order, time management, such as a schedule. Now, my third advice to most of the students out there is if your teacher gives you resources, use it. Absolutely use it. I think sometimes students, they give a packet handed out to them that the teacher gives them, like as they approach the AP exam, or the teacher tells them to check a certain website, and they just don't get around to doing it. I think a lot of times, once again, this is that cramming mentality. In your brain, as you start to approach the test, you're kind of trying to figure out what is important and what isn't important, and a lot of times we put teacher resources kind of in the back sometimes, and don't do that. If your teacher gives you a resource and you've really been on top of breaking up as you approach the exam, use the resources. So that's the three things I would say: time management, use your resources, and a chronological timeline. If you can do those 3 things in advance, you will put yourself so far ahead. Anyways, that is all.